This episode is brought to you by Companion. Iris and Josh seem like the perfect match, but when a weekend getaway turns into a nightmare, Iris realizes that things aren't as perfect as they appear. From the creators of Barbarian and the studio that brought you The Notebook comes a twisted tale of modern romance and the sweet satisfaction of revenge. Companion, only in theaters January 31st. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
The first I knew of Fyre was when basically it all started kicking off on Twitter with the cheese sandwich. Sat there kind of glued to it, watching like the videos come in, and just found it kind of hilarious to see what was sold to people, and then the fallout from it. People were bought into this idea that they were going to be hanging out with influencers and swimming with pigs.
That cheese sandwich, how does that rank as
it's
an
one of the
Instagram
greatest
style?
tweets of all time.
Yeah, I mean, as a company that is an agency for food Instagrammers.
Yeah.
Food influencers.
Do you know what the worst thing is? I said earlier, I was like, that picture actually makes me get hungry.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today, we're joined by Cress.
Hello.
Daniel.
Hello.
Helen.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about the Fyre Festival, which never actually happened. Fyre.
Thank you, as always, to the mighty people for the mighty, mighty tunes. And thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills.
Please do remember to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can do where you listen to the podcast, because it really does help us.
And you can join in the conversation with us on Twitter
At FlixWatcherPod, and on Instagram
at Flixwatcher. Hello and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. In our studio today we have Dan and Cress. If you'd like to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do, please.
Sure, yeah. So Cress and I both work at Food Tryb. We started it about this time last year. We have a podcast, Food Tryb Table,
which is also edited by Ben Williams.
By Ben Williams
from Rockwood Audio.
Absolutely.
How do Ben?
He makes it. No, seriously, the amount of times we say things that have to be cut out. Yeah. So Food Tryb, just quickly, Food Tryb is a micro-influencer food community. So basically, we have a community of lots of foodies. We get together for meetups, brand partnerships, events, workshops. And we chat and talk about food, and we have a huge community online. So,
and are you a food influencer, micro-influencer, or just a food fan, Cress?
I'm a bit of both. I'd like to say I'm probably not an influencer, but I'd like to say I'm a food blogger. I like to write about food and take photos of food.
What is that? Because that's a recent thing.
I love taking photos of food.
I don't get it. Explain why this is a good thing. Obviously, this is how your company kind of is built up.
So I love remembering experiences, remembering colours and flavours and scents. It's just amazing. It can be embarrassing when you're in the middle of a restaurant, but...
No, it's... Oh, well, that was... Yeah, it can be. Especially when you've got to get on a ladder with a light and take pictures of... Yeah.
Exactly.
I like a before and after one, especially if you've got like loads of sharing plates and you kind of get them as everything's laid out, and then there's kind
demolished.
of the chaos and the...
Is the after not just like empty plates, hopefully?
Yeah, but it's kind of like... There's all like napkins and trails of food and maybe one dish someone didn't like and bottles of wine and things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to create good content. I'm trying to learn from the team.
You're learning.
But yeah, so we like to just empower smaller content creators in the food space. So yeah, and we started the podcast. We're on our 8th now. 10th.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
As this records.
As this records.
Yeah. And it's called Food Tryb. And Tribe.
Food Tryb Table. Tribe spelt with a Y, because why not?
And no E.
And no E, yeah.
Just
Food Tryb.
Yeah.
Just Food Tryb. TRYB. There we go. Because we couldn't get the domain.
But that's what you have to do now. Flickr.
Make words up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skype.
Yeah.
With a Y. That turned out all right. But yeah, Food Tryb, TRYB. Food spelled the normal way.
Nice. Well, we're here talking, we're a Netflix film podcast. We're talking about the Netflix documentary Fyre.
With a Y.
With a what? Oh,
with
dear.
a Y, true. There you go.
Oh, dear.
See what it
Everyone's looking at me.
And it was your choice, Dan.
It
for
was.
this, to
Yeah.
choose this film.
Yeah.
So can you tell us why you chose it and give us a 1-minute synopsis?
Yeah, sure. For me, what was just amazing about it, obviously it relates to kind of influencers and we work in that space. So I think it's very topical. But what was amazing for me was the how one person could persuade everyone to do this. And not only just like his team around him, but investors and just the kind of, I don't know, the cheek to go out and do this was amazing. And the fact that it happened, when I rewatched it, because I watched it when it came out, it's like, wow, it's like, it amazes me again how just this happened. But just to give a quick synopsis about Fyre. So actually it was on the back of an original idea that this guy, Billy McFarland and Ja Rule had to build a marketplace for influencers to book talent online. And basically on the back of that, they were like, let's put on a festival in the Bahamas on Pablo Escobar's former island and get the biggest and best influencers in the world there. Great idea on paper. They even executed an amazing trailer, which is filmed. It's shot in the documentary. And basically this documentary just highlights and kind of travels through the whole setup of it, the whole pre-production of the whole festival, how they got to the point of getting people actually to the island and how they had to deal with them. It's frankly amazing how it happened.
Or how it didn't happen.
Yeah, correct. It's basically how this one man and Ja Rule, but probably more this one guy, managed to persuade everyone that he will put on the best festival in the world, but it never happened.
Helen, what were your thoughts on the Fyre Festival? Or was it just called Fyre?
Yeah, so as someone who has worked on legitimate festivals and helped to...
Give us your festival CV.
So yeah, Stand and Calling Festival, End of the Road Festival, Wilderness Festival.
Nice.
Helped put those on, so know a fair bit. Know a lot more than old Billy about putting on festivals. So very much enjoyed basically just the downfall and just watching just the chaos. Absolutely fascinating that they thought they could do it in, what was it, a matter of like months.
2 months, yeah.
And interestingly, I was doing a little poke around on IMDb, and basically it says, hate influencers, Fyre is the documentary for you. So it really is, Daniel. It really is. I mean, the first I knew of Fyre was when basically it all started kicking off on Twitter with the cheese sandwich.
So you actually witnessed it happening at the time.
I witnessed Twitter happening. I had no idea that the festival existed because I'm not their target audience and I don't have any money, so why would I? And just basically sat there kind of glued to it, watching like the videos come in and the websites that were put together really quickly, and just found it kind of hilarious to see what was sold to people and what clearly wasn't. And then the fallout from it about who'd obviously sort of not been paid, who'd been paid obviously to advertise it, but obviously they didn't say that they'd been paid, which led the way for now things have to be labelled with ads. And basically people were bought into this idea that they were going to be hanging out with influencers and swimming with pigs on this island, and it clearly wasn't that.
Everyone wants a pig swim, don't they? So what was it like for you? So you saw it on Twitter. You saw it unfolding in real time, obviously albeit not on Pablo Escobar's island. But what was it like then seeing the other side of it when actually this documentary came out? Were you like, oh, okay, that's where the cheese sandwich came from? Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Well, no, because it kind of explained itself on Twitter, and sort of there was background to it. But what I had no idea about was that the original Fyre thing was the tech product that they were working on, and there was an entire team that was kind of devoted and building up,
this kind of startup,
by your influencers. So there was that on the side as well. So that was all news to me, that it started out as something quite legitimate and very quickly became something that anyone who's ever been involved in is never ever going to be able to shake it off.
Cress, what were your thoughts of Fyre? Have you seen it before?
Yes, yeah. I've seen it a couple of times. I mean, it's fascinating. The whole thing to me is fascinating. Actually, my favourite part is the cheese sandwich. I love that. It's just hilarious. I think the whole thing is fascinating, but at the heart of it, it's really sad. Like, it's actually heartbreaking. Maybe I'm just that one that sits at the end of it going, but what about the poor lady who put 50 grand in savings? Like,
I was going to ask who you felt sorry for.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where it's a bit like a Wolf of Wall Street type story. You know, it's like this fascinating guy that how did someone manage to pull all this off and do all this, you know. But at the end of it, you actually take us up and you're like, it's actually really sad that how many people genuinely were like, you know, had so much loss out of it and lost so much money and like their whole lives ruined, their businesses ruined, which actually is really, really sad.
Did you feel sorry for the kids who turned up there with all the money to spend in the world and kind of...
I mean, some of them, yes. Some not so much. That's actually, that is the entertaining bit. We were watching earlier the bit where they throw the suitcases out and I'm like, oh my gosh, people must have been going crazy.
Because I know it kept on kind of escalating in terms of, or de-escalating in terms of credibility. And when I first saw the kind of the dome tents, it kind of... The way they shoot it actually makes it look quite good. Then you look inside and you're like, oh, that's not good at all.
Yeah. But you weren't promised tents. You were promised villas and banners.
Some people were going to have tents. I
think they looked like that on the pictures though.
No, but I thought they were then going to go to the villas that were kind of built up. So I was like, okay, this is okay. And then you're like, no, it's
they ended up being hurricane relief tents.
Yeah, they just bought the stock. Yeah.
Because that was another thing that just they had that storm the night before.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to, they wouldn't have got away with it, but I would like to know how much better they would have done out of not being in a swamp, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's scary. I think from a number of angles as well, that has a lot of interest. So actually, going back to 2016, the funny thing is I had communication with Fyre as an influencer agency prior to Food Tryb.
Was this for Calibre?
This was for Calibre 30, yeah. So we were representing lots of influencers in the UK, and we had communication all about their platform. In fact, one of the guys who's interviewed in there, who worked for Fyre on the app side, was one of the guys I was communicating and talking with, a guy called Sam.
And, who's in the documentary?
Yeah, Sam Cross.
Cool.
Yeah. So we had a whole chat about the platform. He was pitching it to me, and obviously part of the deck that was eventually sent to me was part of the festival. So I've got it here. I can show you after.
Oh wow!
Which is it's fascinating. And you're reading through, and it's like, wow, this is incredible. This is like Coachella's, like better than Coachella, and you can see why influencers would jump on this. And from an influencer marketing perspective, or just a general social media strategy, this was incredible.
Yeah.
But then you think about it, they had the top echelon of, you know, Instagram models, and from Bella Hadid to, you know, Emily Ratajkowski and all these guys. You kind of think, you know, it's just plugging the guy's ego to put on this party, and that was it. And just whatever happened after happened. And what was fascinating, so you had this amazing influencer campaign, which I think incredible, but obviously it was all on the back of something that was a bit fake. But was the psychology around how someone like this could pull this off. That's what the interesting thing is. He is essentially a sociopath, because you look at what he did after as well and continued to do
it. Yeah, he's been like, don't do that, guy. Yeah. And he sets up a new thing in a penthouse, and he's like, I can't live here, quote unquote, but I can't front this new company, but you can. So he pulls in another chump who must have seen what happened with Fyre.
Yeah.
And then he starts doing this ridiculous like email marketing campaigin.
For tickets.
Which is like, what are you doing?
Yeah. He just does not learn.
Compulsive, isn't he?
Yeah. And the thing that makes me laugh, which I forgot about before watching this the second time, is just Ja Rule. I'm just like...
He's just not... I think he's just naive.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I don't actually think he really was that... I mean, obviously, you could argue all of them. I mean, this is the whole argument about even the guys the agency, so Fuck Jerry and Matt Productions, who all involved. By the way, there is a bit of controversy because they say Fuck Jerry produced this with Vice and sold to Netflix.
Well, I think they have to they're just like, okay, how can we claim some money back? And
it will also look good as well at the end of it. But, I mean... If you're the agency, how do you know what's in this guy's head? How do you know this guy's is like, this Billy McFarland is just continually getting money from, I think this one lady who was in there. Just, I don't know how that was the big thing. How are they funding this still?
Well, we're seeing now in London, I guess, a lot of startups who are getting funded and well funded. And if you are connected in some way, shape or form, then you can spin a yarn.
Absolutely true.
People can give you money. And it just does make you think. But then also it's the connection of the people, as Helen was saying, the kids who were going to the festival obviously had a lot of money that it wasn't really that much of an issue to load their Fyre wristbands with like $50,000 for a weekend. You're just like, what did you think was going to happen in a way? But also one thing that really fascinates me is that there must have been a tipping point where this, like you say, the campaign was a really good campaign. It hit the mark, got loads of tickets sold. Yeah. And if you'd actually...
It's sold 95% of tickets in 24 hours. And the only festival that's kind of close to that is Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Insane.
So you're like, there was something there. If you'd actually spun it around and listened to the people who said, guys, we need toilets. Those kind of sensible people. Then there could have been some way to kind of claw this back. And they just... Absolutely. Hubris.
Or the island is too small for the amount of people that you want to fit it on. Just like the guys there saying.
It would only have fit like 50% of the people in the first place.
Or that weekend they were doing it was the national holiday on the Bahamas, and there were no hotels would be open. It was ridiculous.
Just all these things, just change the week, change the island, reduce the number of people, say sorry. And also, if you'd reduced the number of people, I'm sure they would have got the people, it would have been like a bidding war to be able to stay on.
Yeah.
Reduce the number of acts there because you only need one or two big headliners, don't you?
Well, I think there was probably only maybe one or two that were actually contracted. Half of them were never even signed a contract.
But I thought they were at least engaged to join.
Who knows?
Who knows?
But it's, I mean, what's also fascinating is you see all these like pretty experienced production, concert production guys around. Of course, they're kind of questioning it, but you'd think someone would step up and say, guys, this is not going to happen. Maybe a couple of them did.
Well, didn't they do? They tried to, but they got shot down.
They fired that guy,
They fired the first guy,
So who flew the plane or something?
That was fucking hilarious.
Yes.
This guy learned to fly a plane using Microsoft
Simulator. Yeah.
Why would you get in a plane with him?
Which essentially gives me, I'm basically qualified to do the same.
Have you tried Microsoft Simulator?
Years ago, yeah. I can also be an architect because I played Sims when I was younger. So.
I can plan a town. That's fine.
Exactly.
You've got to feel sorry for the guy who was prepared to go and give someone a blowjob just so they could get the water tankers.
That's got to be the
best part of the film.
Epic part of the entire film.
It was crazy that
we've watched that scene probably 6 times today, and I still can't believe it's a real serious conversation.
He's meant to be a serious guy in the kind of event. The funny, do you see what happened a few weeks ago? He was signed up subsequently by Evian Water to promote them on Instagram. Yeah, Google it.
Why not? Why not?
No, absolutely. What a brand ambassador.
Prepared to do anything for Evian.
Absolutely. Incredible how that happened.
Also, the logistics of that is was this the guy whose dick is going to suck? Was he up for it? Was it? How do we even know this is going to happen? It just
he got the call from Billy.
So he went home, had a shower, and had some mouthwash.
And mouthwash. That was probably the best, the tipping point in the whole film for me.
That's my quote of the entire film.
If this film wasn't so sad in the ending, it's comedy.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, most of it is.
It still is comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that woman at the end is terrible.
That cheese sandwich, how does that rank as an Instagram style?
It's one of the greatest tweets of all time.
Yeah. I mean, as a company that is an agency for food Instagrammers.
Yeah.
Food influencers.
Do you know what the worst thing is? I said earlier, I was like, that picture actually makes me hungry. But then any kind of cheese and bread.
It's true, you're a big cheese fan.
Any cheese and bread combo.
Any cheese and bread combo, yes.
But yeah, I mean, it was well shot, proportion. It was
colours, the lighting,
perfect for Twitter. Just exactly what you wanted to get go viral. Yeah, in the context, of course. But yeah, that was probably, and there's those pictures of people opening tents and seeing waterlogged tents. I mean, it just the mind boggles still to this day when you watch it. It's unbelievable.
How much does it cost to glamp in one of the festivals you've organised?
I think you're probably at lower end. You're probably talking maybe 120 per night for like a minimum.
So these guys have spent like $10,000.
Yeah, I mean that's like standard tent.
Yeah.
About that. I mean it can go up to like 500 to 1,000 depending on the size and where you're going and stuff. But
so still,
their minimum is about that much, I think.
So this is the Fyre Festival as it had here was just over and above.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Was it? Would you say it's on level of Coachella in terms of value?
For this, no, I think it'd probably be more than that.
Oh really?
I mean, I couldn't work out how many days it was meant to be. Was it just like 2 nights maybe? And then obviously none of the things that were promised. So none of the they were promised like a exclusive aircraft and they were just on like an economy flight.
Yeah.
And then the travel from the airport was on school buses.
Yeah.
And obviously the food was the cheese sandwich. The villas were non-existent. There was no music.
And there was supposed to be yachts and things.
Yeah, and you won't be swimming with the pigs, but I don't know if they were on the right island for doing that. So I don't really know if anyone actually got anything they legitimately paid for from it.
The scary thing is, if they didn't manage to get people home, or only a third of the people actually got on the island.
Yeah.
Luckily, imagine if they didn't. That had to be stranded there for a couple of days. God knows what would have happened, because it's not as if it's easy just to go and get.
Well, that was my biggest question. I was like, how did they get everyone out?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't for the first night. They locked them in the airport without any food or water, and because they were all told, oh, this is, you don't need to just load up your cash, your things, don't bring any cash and credit cards.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't, so they couldn't buy anything. There were no taxis on the island or anything because all the private cars had been hired by this other thing. So they were stranded in this terrible car park with fake sand. So the sand wasn't even real. They basically just got loads of sand to cover up the building site that it was. Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious, really, that they thought that they'd gone through all these steps and they could possibly get away with it. I mean, you could kind of tell that he was thinking, yeah, I can get away with this. This is still going to be amazing.
He did ask that question at one point to someone, didn't he? He asked, is this over now? Didn't he?
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Finally, the coin drops at the end. It's just so delusional.
All these people saying... Because there's that yoga instructor, didn't they?
Yeah.
He was saying, we need to stop this.
Yeah.
And ended up the yoga instructor... Him just telling the yoga instructor, well, at least I'll be greeted by your smile.
And then he instructed him not to copy in the investors.
Yeah.
For obvious reason.
Because they won't give us any more money.
Because then... I mean, to be honest, that would probably been better for just to stop the money, stop it before it actually happens. But
where did the money go? Because people invested millions. Obviously, none of it went to any of the kind of infrastructure or staff.
Well, they didn't get paid, did they?
Yeah, presumably he just spent it on himself, I guess.
That is a good question, because it was 27 million, so it must have gone somewhere.
Kendall Jenner cost $250,000 for one post.
But didn't they get? Wasn't that money possibly made up? Because obviously he had magnesis, which just sounds ridiculous. Yeah. So presumably there would have been some collateral from that he must have used to get behind Fyre, which would then have given them some money to start with before they could sell the idea of the festival.
Probably. He was also quite tapped into the kind of New York VC community. So I think he did manage to get a lot of kind of capital beforehand, but he just kept plummeting through, just convincing these people. I guess when you've got the biggest, you can say you've got the biggest names promoting it, but then surely if you're an investor, you want to say, well, hold on a second, this is happening in a month's time.
Yeah.
What is, show me a live image of what's going on.
What actually is this?
Unbelievable.
When they go through kind of the fraud in the contract as well, like things he'd promised certain investors, like returns and amount of money, and this person would be here, and
because that's probably the biggest part. That was probably what was his downfall, was that level of fraud. Yeah. Not necessarily stranding teenage millennials on an island. It was the fraud that he
kept doing, and there was a record of it, and they didn't shred it or anything.
He was definitely changing the numbers, and it was clear after.
Well, I read a quote from Ja Rule where he said, "I don't think he should have gone to prison. It wasn't fraud. It's just false advertising." Yeah, no, I lolled at that. That's kind of what fraud is.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when taking people's money and using it for other things.
I still think Ja Rule got off too lightly.
Yeah, because he got scot-free, didn't he?
Yeah.
I generally like the idea of the app. I thought the kind of construct of Fyre, it seems like a good idea. It's hard to get in touch with people.
Well, it was one of the first marketplaces. I mean, now there's tons of influencer marketplaces, and that's where that industry's gone. It was a great idea. Like when I sat with them and talked about it, it was a great idea. They just didn't need to wrap a whole... their egos got in front of it, and this one guy's ego and delusion that he could do. I mean, it's the same. If you look at what he did with the company next, Magnesis. It was just these like elite, inverted commas, parties in New York, essentially to fuel his party life.
Yeah, driving around in I need a Maserati. Sure. I need one to go to Greenwich Village.
Absolutely. I mean, even that, is a concept that could have been, that was like a quintessentially kind of idea that he was trying to build. But this guy's a fraud.
Basically built an idea because people wanted to have something other than a plastic card they could kind of like put down.
A metal card. Yeah, because that's more...
Very American Psycho. He probably watched that and gone, Oh, I know what I can do.
I can do
make this better.
Yeah. Right, let's head to the scores, guys.
Yes.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have come from the worlds of film, television, music, food, comedy, and podcasting. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. All of our scores are out of 5. You may have decimal places if you wish, and we will start with you, Dan, with your recommendability.
I'd say 5. Because not only for me, from my point, it's very interesting as an industry and just understanding this. And
well, you're an entrepreneur. You work in the influence industry.
Yeah, because we work in the influencer space and understand what. And unfortunately, I really think this does, to some extent, give influencers a bad name. But the other thing is, I think it's a great documentary. I think it's well produced. I think it tells the story really well. It gives a lot of inside footage that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. And so I'd highly recommend it.
5. Cressida?
I would say 4. I do agree. I think it's something you need to watch. I think it's something people need to see, even just to learn a lesson so that it doesn't happen again. And because I'm just, again, going back to me being a softie, I want someone to watch it and go, can we give these people from the Bahamas back some of their money that they lost?
Well, she raised, I think she got her money back.
Did she?
Yeah.
She raised...
I don't know if she's got it all back, but
there was
a crowdfunding.
Yeah, crowdfunding.
Oh, okay.
She more than doubled the money. I think she
But then all the guys working didn't get paid.
No, 250 grand's worth of wages that got lost.
So this is, going back to Helen's question, like the £27 million, where did it go? Where did it kind of flitch off to? Because private jets obviously cost them a lot of money, but don't cost £27 million worth.
Cheese sandwiches are expensive in Bahamas.
It's hard getting hold of that lettuce. So 4. Okay. And by the way, you can have as many decimal places as you want. Helen.
That wasn't clear. This is a very slick documentary. It's very well put together. I mean, I haven't seen... There was also a TV series as well, mini-series. There's another version.
Hulu did one.
That's it.
But they paid him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's... But also, obviously, Fuck Jerry's influence on this means that there probably is maybe a third sort of version out there, possibly. I mean, it's fascinating, really fascinating. Just to see how one person can take something so far. I mean, he's incredibly dangerous and glad that he's locked up. But yeah, completely fascinating, really well made, a real mixture of just hilarious, hands over your eyes going, you just can't imagine what is going to come next. And some moments that are absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well. There's no one that I wouldn't recommend to watch this.
Yeah, fair enough. I really like this documentary, but I wasn't like evangelical about it as other people were. And it is almost like, hide behind the cushions at some point. For me, it was like Ja Rule was most of the time. Just every time he's on screen, I'm like, dude. Because he's not even that credible a rapper. He's not that good in the hip hop industry anyway. He's not like...
If he's doing this.
Yeah.
He's not like Method Man, who's like cool.
Yeah, it's not like Method Man. It's not like Nas. He's just like this guy who happens to rap.
He's not Jay-Z.
Yeah, exactly. He's just that kind of...
Just Ja Rule.
Yeah, Ja Rule is just like...
And now he's like Ja Rule from the Fyre.
From the Fyre Festival, he's that hard dude. it felt pathetic. But I kind of do really enjoy how I think the marketing idea behind it was solid. It just went too far, and it's just so weird how people follow like the Pied Piper. Nonsense,
Crazy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It just shows you the extreme of how humans can behave.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. It's scary, actually. And this, a lot of it's very, sorry to jump on, you're about to give your raise. No, but just, in recent years of how political campaigns have been, have been won, whether it's America and Europe, because of people's hype, social media. And this is in a way, and it kind of highlights that as well in a kind of narrower sense of the possibilities of, garnering a following and leading people somewhere where is potentially dangerous.
I honestly think if I showed it to like my grandparents or you showed it to someone 10 years ago, they wouldn't believe it was real.
No.
It doesn't seem real, even now.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of other like big scams that have happened. This has seriously got to be one of the biggest ones. I'm going to give it 4.5 because I think there are people like, Kobe, you must watch Fyre. And I was like, I watched it and thought, that's great. But also wasn't as enthused as you guys were necessarily. So that's why I'm just taking it down a notch. But I think it does actually, and we'll talk about the repeat viewing in a second. But yeah, I think 4.5 is about right. Repeat viewing score.
Can deal with repeat viewing. I mean, I like to watch things, but I was amazed when I did watch it again. Obviously, with this, I was just in fact, because I've watched it again, and I was amazed. I'm actually going to give it a high. I'm going to give it 4 repeat viewing. Yeah, I think there's so many things you can like still be amazed about this thing, and it's just mind-boggling. I'm still mind-boggled by it.
What had you forgotten anything from the first time watching it that this time round kind of popped in your head that was like, oh fuck, I forgot that?
The cheese sandwich.
The cheese sandwich, yeah. The extent at which there was no butter. It was incredible. I mean, at least put some butter.
No butter in the Bahamas.
The fact that for the human perspective, the human element, that people literally were moved. They talk about scams out there. Yeah, money scams, I think, where people actually bought things that weren't real and things like that. They actually moved thousands of people to a place in the middle of nowhere.
That's true, yeah.
But the human element of it kind of, it just touched me at the end with the lady Marianne, I think it is, and the workers. It's just, and the people on those islands, because Zoom runners, they're so hospitable. Yeah. They are so hospitable and so nice.
Just properly taken advantage of.
Properly, yeah. Repeat viewing, I'd give it a 4.
Cressida.
Can I give it a 0.5?
You can do.
I have seen it twice, but the second time was only because of today, and I wanted to just recap. And also, I'll give it that little bit of 0.5, because I forgot how hilarious the dick-sucking quote bit is. But apart from that, I think it's fascinating, but I don't need to see it again.
This is what does happen with documentaries.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. It's a great documentary, but I've seen it, I know it, I'm not going to watch it again.
Yeah. Helen?
So this was one that when it came to Netflix, I was like, someone will pick it. Someone didn't pick it for ages, and I thought, should I watch it? And then I didn't watch it, and then thanks, you picked it. I was like, yes.
So is this the first time you've seen it?
This is the first time I've seen it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, but probably not going to watch it again. Bit interesting to see the other version. I'll give it a 1.
Yeah, I'll give it 1.5 because I wasn't expecting to take much more out of it this time, but it was. I think if you watch it, I think it came out a year and a bit ago, didn't it? So you just naturally forget stuff, and I was surprised at the levels that were taken to and the extremes, and the people who did legitimately say, "Dude, we need like toilets," and it's like, "You're out of here." And any half sane person would have said, "Oh shit, we do actually need toilets because people need to get to the toilet," and yeah, we haven't got any, so what can we do?
Yeah.
But they had no security guards or anything. They had no like first aiders.
Yeah.
They had like no police. They had nothing on site like that. Which
it could have gone so much worse.
Yeah, no.
Actually,
if you've ever been to a festival and they had no lights or anything, and it sounded like it got pretty wild on the campsite as well. It must have been really terrifying.
So it would have been people that overdosing on everything. No first aiders, no infrastructure to support that kind of stuff.
Fighting, stealing stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, when in that bit when they show the first live video clips of the first night and they describe it as like looking like a horror movie, it really does. I think I would have actually been really scared to be there when there's no lights, everyone's just running around. dark.
This is
You've got no idea where you
Throw
are on the
mattresses.
island or anything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
there's no... You can't like run out into the streets and get
Yeah,
help.
you're not like in a field in Oxfordshire or somewhere. You're literally in the middle of nowhere.
Because someone said, that one guy said, what we did was got all the tents around us and like slashed them.
And ransacked them, yeah.
So it looked like they were already taken or inhospitable, so they were themselves protected, but at the same time screwing over like 10 or so other people.
Yeah. That's why I didn't feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Almost like a Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. I've read quite a few things that described it.
Yeah.
Small screen score, Dan.
Yeah, this can be watched on your iPad, even your iPhone, Android. Although you've got to watch the trailer in big screen, high definition.
The trailer.
Oh, I wonder why.
The trailer with all the models. Is that what you're saying?
The trailer with all the models. No. That is not the only reason why. No, but yeah. So in terms of small screen ability to watch it on how. Yeah, I mean, 4. It can be watched on a...
So if Kendall Jenner was paid $250,000 just to tweet, then how much would Rasikowski and all those models have been paid to actually physically be somewhere for 3 or 4 days?
Probably up there with a similar fee, I would say.
Oh, not higher. I would have thought like 4. I was just thinking like 4 times that even straight away, because if they're actually physically there and spending their life there instead of just writing a tweet and posting it.
I mean, they obviously got a whole free holiday. I mean, probably between
I guess
a quarter
the holiday,
to $500,000.
Quote unquote, would have been part of the deal, wouldn't it?
Would have been, yeah.
Would pay for the transport there. And
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's so bizarre because you can go to like Glastonbury for the price of a ticket, and like chances are you'll see Alexa Chung because it just kind of like hangs out there.
Yeah.
And you'll bump into her.
4.
Ability to watch on a small phone.
Yeah, small screen score 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
Cressida, 4 as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the joy of a documentary, I guess. You can, it's all about the info.
There are some documentaries though you'd probably want to see.
Yeah. Arguably, yeah, of course.
But this is quite straight.
But with this, easy. I mean, I watched it the second time on my phone. It was great. Got everything I needed from it.
Was it Montage of Heck you saw in the big screen that I was quite jealous of?
Yes, probably. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Goddamn.
And Amy. But you saw that, didn't you?
Amy's great in the big screen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Asik Friday stuff
Those-
works
yeah.
on the big screen. I love that guy. So what's your small screen score?
I'm going to give it a 5. I think this works fine on home TV. I watched this on the iPad travelling and, had a lovely time.
5. Although, I mean, the island does look beautiful.
Yeah.
You're just like,
And the
you're just
pigs.
ruining it for everyone. No one's going to go to Bahamas now because they're associated with you. And even...
You should go to the Bahamas and give the locals back the money.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I'm actually desperate to go to Exuma. I really want to go there. I really want to go to Pig Beach. Definitely.
I'd like to go to Pig Beach.
Yeah, with Emily Ratajkowski.
Yes.
I think that's your dream.
No, that's you. I'll have the pigs.
Engagement score.
Engagement score. It was a very well made documentary, and I think I'd have to give it a 5 because there are some documentaries that are a bit kind of. It was a gripping doc. You didn't know what to expect next. Were these people actually going to get there? What was going to happen after? There was always something more. Yeah. So I think I'd have to give it a 5.
Cressida.
I'd say a 4. Yeah, I agree. It's absolutely fascinating. And I think it will be, in some way, a little piece of history.
Yeah.
Well, I like the way it
For our industry, anyway.
Has this actually... Was this case genuinely the reason why they make you, if you are promoting a product on Instagram, say, have that tag that you've been promoted?
Well, it's a sponsored one.
Yeah, I don't think this was this highlighted it more and more, but I mean, there's been a kind of general push to that as well. And I mean, just general advertising standards have been pushing to be more transparent generally. But I can't even remember if these guys did that or didn't. I don't know.
They didn't, because this came, the sponsorship thing came after Fyre, but I didn't know if it was how much the Fyre Festival pushed them.
I'm sure it highlighted it way more. I mean, look, it put it in the light again of all these people promoting something that wasn't. But by the way, these guys who promoted it
It's not their fault.
No,
if
your agent offers you $500,000 to go to the Bahamas and post an orange square, which is what they actually had to do.
Guys, if anyone's listening and wants to pay me $500,000 to post, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it for a $5.
$500,000 for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, this because there was an influencer who, I can't remember what her name was, but she was like, hey, it's going to Fyre Festival, it's going to be good. And then she's on the plane and like, oh, it's not a private plane, but we're still going to Bahamas and Major Lazer are going to be there. And Blink-182's pulled out. It's going to be fine anyway. And you're like, so these guys got scammed as well, didn't they? I don't know if they got paid, but it's still, it's not, I don't blame them in any way, shape or form. It's all Billy McFarland.
Yeah. And maybe Ja Rule.
The deluded Ja Rule. Helen, engagement.
I'm going to give it a 4.7. It is really engaging, but I did find myself like kind of fact checking as I went along, like going, that can't be true, or like
what was
going into that, or just like finding out a little bit more and like going through kind of like a link clicking wormhole to the point where I had to then stop the doc and go back because I was like, shit, I'm missing what's going on.
Did Magnesis exist? What did you find out in your hunting?
Nothing that wasn't in the doc, but it was just more a little bit more about kind of like Billy and some of the like looking at the artists who were meant to be on there, and some of the old tweets and things.
Did you have some fun facts, Cressida?
Yeah, but we've covered nearly all of them. And I quoted Ja Rule a couple of times, so they were some of my fun facts.
Ja Rule's most streamed song on Spotify is called Always on Time.
I love that song.
Just except festivals.
Yeah, he wasn't even there, was he?
He wasn't.
So he was there for all the fun stuff, like kind of building it out and thinking of the ideas.
Yeah.
And he was there on Skype saying, it doesn't fucking matter. It's fine.
Yeah, he's like, we want pigs, you get pigs.
Yeah, exactly. We're paying a fuck a load of money.
And then that famous speech he made about eating like, I'm going to try and quote it, but I can't. But it's basically like eating like rock stars, partying like rock stars, like fucking like porn stars.
Yeah,
that was like he kept repeating. I was like, come on, this is just cringe. Stop it.
I'm going to give this a 5 engagement because I think like yourself, Dan, you don't know where it's going to go. At least the first time you watch, you don't know where it's going to go. And it starts kind of innocuously. This guy's been followed by the press. We've seen that a lot of times in the UK and US press. What's he done? And it never. I didn't see it manifest in Twitter. I wasn't on Twitter this time, so I just didn't know that this thing happened. And the twists and turns it takes to get to how this thing doesn't happen is kind of incredible. So you can't. For me, I was just like, at least the first time was like mouth open, eyes agape. 5, and that gives us an overall score of 3.88750, and it's the repeat viewing score. The documentary,
poor old documentary,
that does tend to take it down a fair bit. But yeah, other than that, it scores highly in all the other categories.
I tried my best to keep it high there. Loyal.
Right, so guys, can you tell us where people can find you online? Tell us about the podcast and sign off by.
Yeah, sure. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and at Food Tryb. So Food Tryb. Our podcast, Food Tryb Table, is on all streaming services, Spotify, iTunes, etc. We do essentially a weekly podcast highlighting everything fun going on in the food space. We interview someone from the food world. Well, it's not always a food, but we're talking about food.
Yeah.
Foodtryb.com is our website, and that's us.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Ben, and that's Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell him Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.